My mom texted, "We've talked, it's better if you stay away from the family." My brother reacted with approval. I replied, "Sure. I'll cancel the automatic mortgage payment tonight." By midnight, the group chat exploded with panic and threats. I never imagined that a single group text could unravel decades of family dynamics, but that's exactly what happened 3 weeks ago. For context, I'm 33 and the youngest of 3 kids. My parents, especially my mom, have always been controlling. My older brother, Jason, 36 is the golden child, and my sister, Emily, 35 has perfected the art of staying neutral to avoid drama. I was always the difficult one because I moved out early, built my own business, and refused to play by my mom's unwritten rules of constant obedience. 5 years ago, when my dad had a health scare, I stepped in to help with their finances. They'd over-leveraged their house with a second mortgage to fund Jason's failed restaurant venture. They were on the brink of losing the family home. Despite every instinct telling me not to get involved, I offered to cover half the mortgage each month while they got back on their feet. The deal was simple: I'd send an automatic payment directly to the bank every first of the month, but my name would not be added to the deed because families should trust each other. I know. Rookie mistake. Over the years, my payments quietly became the reason they were still living there. My parents loved to brag to neighbors about their beautiful home, while I skipped vacations and drove an aging car to keep the automatic transfers going. They never said thank you, it was just what a good son does. The breaking point. 2 months ago, Jason hosted a backyard barbecue. During dinner, he joked loudly that I shouldn't get ideas about the house, because of course it would be passed down to the responsible child, him. Everyone laughed, except me. When I called him out later, Mom told me I was being dramatic and that Jason was just teasing. That night I seriously considered stopping the payments. But guilt is a powerful leash, and I kept going. Then came the text. Last Saturday morning, my phone buzzed with a new message in our family group chat. It was from Mom. "We talked as a family last night. It's better for everyone if you stay away from the family gatherings for a while. You always bring negative energy." Jason immediately reacted with a thumbs up emoji. Emily sent a hesitant, and then nothing. I sat there staring at the screen, heart pounding. I'd been excluded before, but this was an outright rejection, via text. After 10 minutes of shaking rage, I typed my reply. "Understood. I'll cancel the automatic mortgage payment tonight." I hit send. The immediate fallout. For a full hour, there was silence. Then my phone lit up like a Christmas tree. "Mom, wait, what do you mean cancel? We never said anything about money." "Jason, don't be petty. This isn't about the house." "Dad, who almost never texts, son, let's not make rash decisions." Emily privately, "OMG, what happened?" By midnight, the group chat was a wall of frantic messages alternating between pleas, accusations, and veiled threats. Jason demanded I honor my commitment. Mom accused me of financial blackmail. Dad tried to call, twice. I didn't answer. Instead, I logged into my bank app and stopped the recurring transfer. The next payment was due in 4 days. The days after. The next morning, my voicemail was full. Mom left a tearful message about how I was destroying the family. Jason sent a long paragraph about contracts, there are none, and legal obligations, there aren't any. Emily, bless her, just asked if I was okay. I finally responded in the chat. I helped because I wanted to, not because I had to. You told me to stay away. I'm respecting your decision. You're responsible for your own mortgage from now on. Then I muted the thread. The bigger picture. Since then, I've learned a lot of ugly truths. Emily quietly told me Jason convinced my parents that I owed them for raising me. They'd actually been planning to sign the house over to Jason next year, even though my payments had kept it afloat. Mom has tried every manipulation tactic, crying, guilt, promising a family meeting to talk it out. Jason threatened to take me to court, which is laughable because every payment was voluntary and well documented as a gift. I'm free for the first time in years. I'm also angry at them, but mostly at myself for subsidizing people who never respected me. The update everyone keeps asking for. The bank confirmed that without my contribution, the next payment will be short by nearly half. If they don't come up with the difference, they'll be in default within 60 days. Jason is scrambling to secure a loan, but with his credit, thanks to that failed restaurant, it's unlikely he'll qualify a loan. Emily privately thanked me. She said it's about time someone forced Mom and Jason to face reality. I'm not celebrating their struggle, but I'm also not rescuing them again. My therapist calls this detaching with love. I just call it breathing for the first time in a decade. Lessons learned. 1. Generosity without boundaries is self-destruction. 2. If a family only values you for what you provide, that's not family, it's a business arrangement. 3. Text receipts are powerful. For now, I'm redirecting that mortgage money into a down payment for my own home. A place with no group chats, no surprise family votes, and definitely no automatic payments for anyone else's mistakes. If anyone out there needs a sign to stop funding people who disrespect you, consider this it. My only regret is not hitting cancel sooner. The aftershocks. The first week after I canceled the mortgage payment felt like standing in the eye of a hurricane, eerily calm on my end, but full chaos on theirs. I expected them to cool down and regroup. Instead, every day brought a new attempt to pull me back in. Day 1, the drive-by. On Sunday morning, I heard a knock at my apartment door around 9 a.m. Through the peephole, I saw Jason standing there with a fake smile and a box of donuts. I didn't open. He called through the door. "Hey, man, let's talk. This isn't you. Let's work something out." I stayed silent. After 10 awkward minutes, he left, but not before sliding a handwritten note under the door that said, "Don't ruin Mom's life over a text. Think of Dad's health." The manipulation was so textbook I almost laughed. Day 2, the emergency. Monday evening my phone lit up with a frantic call from Mom. When I didn't answer, she texted, "Your father isn't feeling well. We need you here." I called Emily to check. She sighed and said Dad was perfectly fine, watching TV. "Classic Mom," Emily whispered. It was a fake emergency designed to bait me. That was the first time Emily admitted openly that she's been scared of Mom's tactics for years. We ended up talking for an hour, our longest conversation in ages. It felt like building an alliance inside enemy territory. Day 3, the ultimatum. Tuesday, Jason finally dropped the legal threat in writing. He claimed I had a verbal contract and that family promises are enforceable. I sent back a single screenshot of my bank records clearly labeling every payment as a gift. Then I added, "Consult a lawyer if you truly believe that." No reply. What I didn't expect, Dad's text. Late that night, Dad, who rarely involves himself, sent me a quiet, private message. "I know you've helped more than anyone. I'm sorry for how your mother handled things. Take care of yourself. I'll figure out the house." It wasn't a full apology, but it was the closest he's ever come. For a second, I almost caved. Then I remembered 5 years of being treated like a walking ATM. The ripple effect on Emily. By midweek, Emily called again. Apparently Jason is furious with her because she refuses to take sides. Mom told her, if you really cared about this family, you'd convince your brother to restart the payments. Emily's exact words to me. "I'm done letting them control me, too. You inspired me." She's now looking for her own apartment instead of staying in the family orbit. If nothing else, this whole disaster might free both of us. The bank letter. On Thursday, I received a formal letter from the bank confirming my cancellation and noting that next month's payment is short by $1,423. The house will enter pre-foreclosure if the deficit isn't covered in 60 days. I forwarded a PDF copy to the family group chat with one sentence. This is now entirely your responsibility. Please plan accordingly. Jason didn't respond. Mom sent a crying emoji. Dad simply wrote, "Understood." A small but powerful moment. That night I drove past the family home on my way back from dinner. The porch light was on, the curtains drawn. For years, that house represented my guilt, my obligation, my invisible leash. For the first time, I felt nothing but relief. Where things stand now. Jason has applied for a personal loan, but Emily says the bank already declined him once. Mom is telling extended relatives that I abandoned them, but several cousins reached out privately to say they admire my boundary. Dad sent another quiet text, "No matter what happens, I'm proud of you for standing firm." I didn't expect that last part. It makes me wonder if Dad's been silently rooting for me all along. My next move. Instead of wasting energy on their drama, I met with a realtor. The money I used to throw into their mortgage will now become the down payment for my own house. It feels poetic, every dollar I once spent saving their home will now build mine. I used to think family first meant sacrificing yourself no matter what. Now I understand it can mean building a life where you're not a hostage to other people's choices. If they want me back, they'll have to come to me with something I've never once heard from them. An honest apology. Until then, the mortgage, and the drama, are officially not my problem. Cracks in the foundation. By the third week, the situation with my family wasn't just a storm anymore, it was an earthquake, and the aftershocks were starting to spread far beyond our group chat. 1. Jason's desperation. The first big sign came on Monday morning when I received an unexpected email from my old accountant. Apparently, Jason had contacted him to verify my income in hopes of proving I had the means to keep paying. The accountant refused, of course, but forwarded me the request. I sent Jason a short text. "Do not contact my financial professionals again. This is harassment." He replied within minutes. "You think you can just walk away? This isn't over. I will get that house." It was pathetic, and a little scary. 2. The family meeting I didn't attend. 2 days later, Emily called to warn me that Mom had scheduled a family meeting at the house. The topic? Me. They planned to vote on how to handle the mortgage and how to bring me back into the fold. I laughed and told Emily she was free to attend, but I wouldn't. Emily went anyway, mostly to observe. According to her, Jason presented a half-baked plan. Convince me to restart payments by promising to add my name to the deed later. If I refused, publicly shame me among relatives to pressure me. Mom backed the plan with her usual emotional appeals. Dad sat silently the whole time. When Emily asked why Jason didn't just get a second job, Mom snapped, "That's not how family works." Emily told me afterward that Dad quietly left the room halfway through. She followed him outside and overheard him mutter, "Maybe it's time we face reality." 3. The cousins speak up. That weekend, I attended a cousin's birthday party, without my parents. To my surprise, 3 different relatives approached me privately to say they'd heard Mom's version of events. And didn't buy it. One cousin said, "Your mom told everyone you're punishing them out of spite. But if you were paying their mortgage for years, they should be thanking you, not slandering you." Hearing that felt like sunlight breaking through after years of fog. For so long I'd believed my parents' narrative. Now, the truth was finally leaking out. 4. Jason's breaking point. The next bombshell came on Thursday night when Emily called sounding half amused, half alarmed. Jason had apparently packed a bag and moved back into the family home after his landlord threatened eviction for missed rent. Why? Because he'd drained his own savings trying to cover the mortgage after I pulled out, and failed. Mom welcomed him like a hero returning from war. But Emily said the tension inside the house was suffocating. Jason was furious at everyone, pacing and muttering about finding leverage against me. Mom cried constantly about losing the family name. Dad spent most of his time in the garage. 5. Dad's quiet visit. 2 nights later, I got a knock on my apartment door around 8 p.m. When I checked the peephole, it was Dad. Alone. I hesitated, then opened the door. He looked older, tired in a way I hadn't seen before. We sat in silence for a while before he finally said, "I never agreed with how your mother handled this. You've done more for this family than anyone. I should have said that years ago." He admitted he'd warned Mom and Jason years ago that I wouldn't keep paying forever. They ignored him. Now he was secretly considering selling the house before foreclosure to avoid total ruin. When I asked why he hadn't spoken up sooner, he lowered his eyes. Because keeping the peace felt easier than telling the truth. It was the closest thing to closure I've ever had with him. 6. My final offer, and boundary. After Dad left, I drafted one last message to the family group chat. I will not resume any payments. If you decide to sell the house and need a neutral third-party attorney recommendation, I can provide one. That is the only assistance I will offer. No discussions, no negotiations beyond this point. Then I muted the chat again. Mom responded with a wall of crying emojis. Jason fired off a single word. Traitor. I didn't bother opening the rest. 7. Emily's decision. The next morning Emily texted me. I'm moving out next month. Dad is quietly helping me find a place. You were right, we've been prisoners in that house. For the first time in years, I felt something close to hope. Not because they were suffering, but because someone else in the family was finally breaking free. 8. Where things stand. As of now, the bank has issued a final notice. 2 missed payments will trigger foreclosure proceedings. Jason is still living with Mom and Dad, unemployed and angry. Emily has signed a lease on a small apartment across town. Dad is quietly meeting with a realtor to explore a pre-foreclosure sale. I haven't seen Mom in person, but Emily says she's cycling between rage and desperate bargaining. The realization. For years I believed I was holding the family together with my money. Now I see I was just delaying the collapse of a structure that was rotten all along. The house was never my responsibility, it was their cage. I just finally stopped paying the rent on my own imprisonment. Next month, the bank will either receive a miracle payment or move forward with foreclosure. Either way, I'll be signing paperwork on my own house, one I can afford without sacrificing my dignity. And for the first time in my life, that feels like winning. Final part, the last payment I never made. The foreclosure notice arrived exactly 61 days after I canceled the automatic transfer. I didn't see it in person. Emily sent me a photo of the thick envelope taped to the family's front door. The bold black letters across the top read, "Final warning, property at risk of auction." The collapse. Jason finally realized there was no secret fund coming to save them. Emily told me he paced the living room like a caged animal, ranting about betrayal and threatening to expose me to the extended family. But there was nothing to expose. The payments were documented as gifts, and my bank records showed every cent. The house was sinking because of their decisions, not mine. Mom tried one last time, calling me late at night with a voice dripping with both sugar and venom. "If you care about your father's health, you'll restart the payments. We can put your name on the deed after things calm down." I took a deep breath and replied, "Mom, I won't buy my way back into a family that told me to stay away. This conversation is over." Then I hung up. It was the easiest, and hardest, thing I've ever done. Dad's quiet choice. A week later, Dad texted me a single line. "House sold. Closing next month. Thank you for helping as long as you did. He never asked for money, never blamed me. From what Emily shared, he convinced Mom to sell before the auction so they'd at least walk away with something. Jason was furious, but with no legal claim and no cash, he couldn't stop it. The house that had been my invisible chain would soon belong to strangers. For the first time in 5 years, I slept through the night. Emily's freedom. Emily moved into her new apartment the following weekend. When I carried her last box up the stairs, she hugged me and whispered, "You showed me it's okay to leave. I'm done letting them decide my life." That meant more to me than any apology from Mom or Jason ever could. My own new door. 2 days after Emily's move, I signed papers on a small but beautiful house of my own. Standing in the empty living room, I ran my hand along the clean white walls and thought about every automatic payment I'd ever made to someone else's dream. Now, every dollar would build my future. I set up my own mortgage with a single condition: no one but me controls this account. The last group chat. The family group chat still exists, but it's mostly silent. Jason occasionally sends vague threats about family honor. Mom sometimes posts old photos of the house with captions like, "Memories we'll cherish forever." Dad occasionally replies with a simple, thumbs up. I never respond. Emily and I have our own private thread now. We call it the Real Family Chat. Reflection. I used to think loyalty meant paying the price no matter how high. But love without respect is just debt with prettier words. By canceling one automatic payment, I bought something priceless. Peace, independence, and the knowledge that my worth isn't tied to a monthly transfer. The house is gone. The power they held is gone. And for the first time in my life, I feel completely, beautifully free.